side, and that zipper is hidden. And then it's so neat because we're going to see the other side. Bettie makes sewing seem so easy. Bettie, give us your phone number if people would like to call for more information.
It's area code 334, of course, and 677-2912.
Okay, Bettie Glover from the Sewing Center, Bettie Sewing Center, right here in Dothan with our sewing tips for today. We'll be right back. Well, this morning on our sewing tips feature, Bettie Glover from Bettie Sewing Center is going to show us the proper way to put in a sleeve. And Bettie, you always amaze me because you put in, the fabric is a little bit silky and satiny. We did a zipper the last time you were here, but you're going to show us kind of a puffy sleeve you're going to put in.
Yeah, this is the puff sleeve that's going in the white satin blouse that we just did. I sewed up my sleeve and I sewed up my blouse, and I put an easing thread in the top because it's a puff. It's going to have some
and the easing thread is to gather it up.
To gather it up evenly. And on the bottom down here, and I'm starting at my seam, and I'm putting both seams together. And then up here, I have a clip where it goes to the shoulder seam. And so I'm going to stop long enough, and I'm going to pin it right there so that I'll know that I've got half my gathers. Most patterns, Ann, has a clip for where the gathers go from and to on a pattern. So they can clip those, and if they don't, like this one, I made this much fuller because the flagcore wanted a fuller sleeve than most commercial patterns come out with. So I know to stop about 2.5 to 3 inches from the very top of my sleeve and get my gathers adjusted real easy and just come up to there. Now on the other side, Ann, when I'm doing one that I have added to like this, I go back and I get my center underarm, I measure over to where my other gathers were, put me a pin so that they'll be even and they won't be all pulled around and yawed around and everything. So
I know two things, you iron a lot and you pin a lot.
Yes, you have to pin a lot. I've learned to do my zippers without pinning a lot, Ann, but they can pin the zipper some if they need to. So you just come around here, Ann, to where, and then when you get past your gathers, then you can just go right on with your sewing. And take your pins out, of course. And right here, I'm going to pull my gathering thread out because I had a place there that it's going to show on the top if I don't. And it's perfectly fine. And I pull most of mine out in when I'm making a garment just so that they will look neater. And so then that's the sleeve. You see, you don't have any gathers under here. They're all up here on the top, Ann.
Oh, neato, Bettie.
You like that?
I like that. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us on Sewing Tips. And tell us where you're located. The last time you were on, we did fail to do that.
I'm on 431, just inside the Circle, in the old Howard building, Howard Discount building. I'm next door to Circle Cafeteria. There used to be a shoe store here years ago, if people will stop and remember. But it's 2012 Reed Street is the address, but it's just inside the Circle across from Northside Kmart.
And the phone number is
677-2912.
2912. So if you need to ask questions, Bettie will be glad to try to answer them. Bettie Glover on this morning's Sewing Tips. We'll be right back. Well, for all you home sewers out there, Bettie Glover from Bettie Sewing Center is going to show us how to put a vest together and even put the lining in. And Bettie, I love these sequins, but are they difficult to work on?
Well, yes, you break needles pretty often with them, but it's just a real simple vest, and vests are going to be real big again this year. This is something, if people sew some, that they can do, and a lot of people, like one of the fabric stores in Dothan, give free vest patterns on occasion, so if you'll watch when they're giving them, you can pick up one, and they have the instructions, and some of the patterns have this, and all I have sewed together is the shoulder seam for the lining and the shoulder seam for the vest, and then you place them face together right on top of one another, and I'm starting at the bottom front, left hand front of the vest, and I'm going to sew my 5/8 inch seam and all the way. This is a little funny vest because this is one for the flag corps at Daleville that I misplaced her measurements. Anyway, it's a late one, and I'm having to finish her up. And all I'm doing, ladies, you can pin this if you need to. Like I'm going to come up here to the neckline and put a pin in here so that my seams are open. With sequins, and you can't really press a lot because it ruins the sequins. The heat does. But this, right where I'm sewing now, Ann, is the neckline. But I'm just taking my, like I said, my 5/8 inch seam, and the sequin part of it just makes it. You'd have to treat it a little bit differently. If this were regular fabric, you would trim your seam and clip your curves when you get through, ladies. And I'm going to clip my curves, but I'm not going to trim seams for the simple fact that with sequins, when you trim seams, sometimes the chain stitch that holds the sequins onto the fabric will tend to run. And so if they've got a little farther to go, and they don't seem to run as bad as if they, if you cut it close. So I'm not going to trim the sequin thing. It makes it bulky, but I'm going to put some trim on top of it, and they turn out pretty good. I may clip some of the corners a little bit, but with sequins, you just learn that you don't trim that like you do.
You don't want them to be falling off, do
No, you just don't trim them quite like you do a regular fabric. When I finish that, Ann, I'm going to come across to the very bottom of the back and place it together, and take your 5/8 inch seams, ladies. Just sew right straight across the back. And we're almost ready to turn it now, because all you've got to do is get the back sewed together. You could leave this open, but I found to me it's a little easier to do it while it's flat. And we've got to do the armholes too, which coming around.
That's going to protect them from the feel of those sequins.
Yeah,
there.
and it makes them more durable. But most vests are easier to line than they are to put a lot of facings on. And when you put so many facings onto a vest and then you put it on, the facings tend to drag out as you put it on over your blouse, because vests are normally worn on top of another garment, And when you line them, you don't have that thing to worry about dragging the vest, the facings out. I'll do this one side and they can see how to turn it. Now, like I said, I'm going to clip my seams, but on the sequins, I'm not going to, clip them. I'm not going to trim them, because I'm trying to prevent losing the sequins or losing the chain stitch that holds the sequins onto the fabric. When you get the armholes done, ladies, each in the side of the back like this, up through the shoulder seam, and you get the front like this, and you pull it through like so, and it's turned.
Neato.
It's just ready to. We'll go ahead and pull the other. I'll go back and do the other one a little later, so I can show them how to put this one together, this one side together. And when you get through, you just put the sides together. You start with the sequins under the seam here at the arm and you pin it, and you just sew all the way around it, except a little tiny opening will be left on the other side that you'll close up with a stitch on top of the machine. See? And that'll put it together, and just turn it out and press it, put your trim on it or whatever you're going to do.
Ooh, neato.
Then, see?
Beautiful.
Like I said, this one's a little, it's got a little cut in the front. It's cut up for the flag cord.
Right, I'm going to turn this side around now. The other side's not finished, but here's the way it would be, just hanging up there. Because she's going to go in and finish it. And that's our sewing tip for today. If you'd like to give Betty a call, Betty, would you give us your phone number?
677-2912.
Well, thank you for letting us come to your sewing center. And you've got some nice ladies that work very hard. You've been hearing the machines in the background. Here's the way you put a vest together.
And if they get confused and they need to ask me if they'll call me, usually I can go through this on the phone with a person.
Okay. And she's been doing it this morning already.
Okay.
Bettie Glover with Betty Sewing Tips. We'll be right back with more. Hurry as a Christmas gift or make it for yourself. Betty, these will be great gifts for your children, grandchildren, your secret pal, or whatever. Taking a small bath towel. What are we going to do?
Two small bath towels, just hand towels, And if you
Hand towels.
check around, and they can get them on sale. A friend of mine went to Sears when they had their sale. She got them for like $1.99, or if you don't want the real thick ones, just get 2 thin ones, and they're not expensive. The first thing you need to do, ladies, now this one is monogram. This is for a friend of mine, and it already has her monogram on it. So I'm going to undo the hem, and they're all put in with a ravel stitch, we call it, and I've taken one out, but the other one I was going to show you. And ladies, when you start it, if it doesn't want to ravel, try the other end, because
usually it'll just ravel right out.
Yes, ma'am, it will. So just take your 2 threads.
Just on one side.
On the end, like it may have a decorative thing on one end. You may get Christmas ones. Do the ends away from the Christmas things, and we want to get the hems out of the towels, and then place the terry together, the terry part, and want you to sew about a 1/2 inch and on the terry. Just let your hems, because we're going to trim away this, we want it to have all terry showing. One of the things that I found was that it
Am I doing something else?
my cord's hung on my pedal. My machine's not wanting to go.
Now you've gone down about an inch.
About a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
If they're uneasy with it, just get onto the terry. Get away from that hem selvage, because we just want it to look real neat, and it doesn't take I'm going to do this so that a person that doesn't have like a serger or a fancy machine, if you've just got grandma's old straight stick treadle machine, you can make one of these and veil the seam and fix it where it will not ravel when you wash it.
All right, and so what this is going to be is something that you put on your hair when you get out of the shower, and you don't have to use a 400-pound towel.
Right.
It'll be just ready to dry your hair.
It'll be like a turban.
Yes.
And on one side, trim away all of the hem.
Yeah.
All of the selvage part that looks like the selvage on the towel, trim all of it away. The whole thing. But now on the other side, Ann, we want them to trim only half of it away.
Half of it.
Half of it, because this is going to give us an edge to turn under, and it won't be so thick.
Yeah, you don't want it real thick.
No, at that seam where it just be more comfortable, look nicer. So trim half of it away. Then pull both towels apart like this, and roll the little short. The one that you cut halfway, you want to roll it over and onto the other seam.
You do it. Is it more than once that you roll it?
Pull the one out that you've got that you cut halfway. Pull the other seam out too. Roll the selvage part over the terry, and then lay it down on the towel, like that. And see, it eliminates having such a thickness. And as you sew, be sure that you pull the towels apart so that it doesn't crease up under there. And when you get through, Ann, only just keep rolling that little piece of selvage that you saved over onto the other seam that you left about a 1/2 inch, and then lay it down on the towel and stitch it right on the edge. And it encases all of the stuff that could ravel. And plus it leaves all of it with the terry showing. I saw one done, and they had left the selvage showing, which wasn't real pretty to me. And I'm just the kind of person, if, you know, there's a way to fix it where it looks really, really neat. And when you get through, ladies, and you get out of the shower with your hair wet, you can just take this long thing, put it around the back of your head, you know, just bring it around, Ann, and bring it up there, and you got plenty to tuck around your towel.
But yet it's not so heavy. It's
long and slender, but it's plenty enough
to do the head and wrap around.
Now, she has this one monogrammed. It'd be great if you wanted to get a monogrammed.
Yes.
And then make one as a turban for a bride or
Be
shower
wonderful.
gift or Christmas.
Wonderful. And two, they could get a Christmas one if they want
Oh,
one
yeah.
for Christmas. Get 2 of the little Christmas towels and sew them together. And it just takes no time to do it. And it's something.
It's very different.
It's different if you've got this person that you do not know what to get them. I don't know of many ladies that don't wash their hair at home. At least some. I know a lot of people like you, Miss Ann, that go to the beauty shop and get
If
fixed
Maureen
up.
didn't do my hair, I don't know what I would
Well,
do.
see, but very few people do that
But
today.
it's a wonderful
It
gift.
is.
Betty, have a blessed Christmas.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming. Here's her phone number if you'd like to know more about her. She does home sewing, alterations, and even gifts. Here's her phone number, 983-3327, Bettie Glover.